The rear drums on your truck are adjusted with a tool that costs around $9 to $15 at any parts counter. The job takes 20 minutes. It was done every week in every fleet shop in America from the 1950s through the 1980s. Brake shoes lasted 50,000 to 100,000 miles. Today, that same adjustment is almost never performed. The shoes last 20,000 to 30,000 miles. The replacement bill runs $800 to $1,500 per axle. The tool still costs less than $20. The knowledge disappeared. Here is what actually happens inside a drum brake when nobody adjusts it. The leading shoe, the forward-facing shoe in the drum, wears faster than the trailing shoe. As it wears down, the clearance between the shoe and the drum grows. The star wheel adjuster that controls that clearance sits there doing nothing. The clearance that should be 10 to 20 thousandths of an inch opens up past 30 thousandths. Now the pedal has to travel further before the shoe contacts the drum. You push the pedal harder to compensate. The shoe drags on partial contact instead of full contact. Friction heat builds. The drum surface temperature climbs well past the threshold where lining glazing begins. The lining glazes. It cracks. Then it is metal on metal. Then you are buying a complete axle service. That entire sequence takes 20,000 to 30,000 miles without adjustment. With regular adjustment in the old fleet era, the same shoes ran 50,000 to 100,000 miles. The only variable is a tool that costs less than $20 and 20 minutes. Today we are going back to that practice. You are going to learn how to check your drums, identify where you are in the wear cycle, and run through the full manual adjustment procedure that kept working trucks on the road for decades. Before you do anything else, check whether you are still in the treatable window. Get under your truck. Find the backing plate behind the rear drum. Run your finger around the edge of the drum where it meets the backing plate. If you feel a thin lip of dust and rust, but the drum surface itself feels smooth, you're in good shape. Now grab the drum and try to wiggle it laterally. If it moves more than 1 millimeter with no slop at the wheel bearing, your clearance is already excessive. Do a pedal check inside the cab. If the pedal travels more than halfway to the floor before you feel firm resistance, your clearance is past the adjustment window. If the pedal is firm in the top third of travel, you are adjustable. One more check. After driving 10 miles, park and carefully place the back of your hand near the center of the rear hub, not on it. If you feel radiating heat from 6 inches away, drag is already happening. A properly adjusted drum runs cool. A neglected drum runs hot. If you pass those checks, you have got a 20-minute job in front of you. If you failed the pedal check and the hub is running hot, read to the end anyway. The adjustment procedure will tell you exactly what to inspect when you pull the drum, and you will know what to replace versus what to save. Here is the full procedure. Step 1, you gather your tools. You need a brake spoon, also called a brake adjuster tool, available at any parts counter or online for under $20. You need a flathead screwdriver. You need a wire brush. You need a can of brake cleaner. You need a flashlight. That is the complete tool list. No lift is required if you can safely get the rear of the truck on jack stands. Never work under a vehicle on a floor jack alone. Step 2, break the lug nuts loose before you jack the truck. With the wheel on the ground, crack the lug nuts a quarter turn, then jack the rear axle. Position your stands under the axle tubes, not the differential housing, and lower the truck onto the stands. Pull the wheels. Step 3, you pull the drum. On most trucks with rear drums, the drum slides straight off once the wheel is removed. If it is stuck, and it usually is after 50,000 miles, do not beat it. with a hammer. Locate the 2 threaded holes in the drum hat. Those are the drum removal holes. Thread 2 matching bolts into those holes finger tight, then alternate turning each bolt half a turn at a time. The drum walks itself off evenly. If you do not have the right bolts, a few sharp raps with a rubber mallet on alternating sides of the hat will break it free. Never hit the friction surface. Step 4. You inspect what you have. With the drum off, look at the shoe lining thickness. New lining thickness varies by vehicle and manufacturer, typically ranging from 3/16 to 3/8 of an inch. Consult your specific vehicle service manual for the correct specification. When the lining is down to 1/8 of an inch, you are replacing them. If the lining has sufficient material remaining and the friction surface is not glazed or cracked, you are adjusting, not replacing. Look at the drum interior. You want a smooth gray surface. Blue discoloration means it got too hot. Grooves deeper than you can feel with your fingernail mean the drum is scored. A scored drum needs to be turned on a lathe or replaced. Step 5. Locate the star wheel adjuster. It sits at the bottom of the brake assembly between the 2 shoes. It is a threaded mechanism, a small gear wheel with teeth around the circumference. The adjuster slot in the backing plate or in the drum itself gives you access to it from outside. On most trucks, the slot is on the backing plate facing the rear of the vehicle. It is covered by a rubber plug. Poke the plug out with a screwdriver and keep it. You are putting it back. Step 6. You clean the adjuster before you turn it. Spray brake cleaner into the slot. Let it drain. Hit the adjuster teeth with your wire brush through the slot. A corroded adjuster that you force will snap. A clean adjuster turns freely. This is where most people fail. They skip the cleaning step, force the adjuster, break it, and turn a 20-minute job into a 2-hour parts hunt. Adjuster kits run $15 to $25 a side if you snap one. Step 7. You adjust. Insert the brake spoon into the slot and hook it onto the adjuster teeth. For most domestic trucks, you expand the shoes, increase the diameter by moving the spoon downward at the slot. Check your application. Some adjusters work in reverse. The rule is turning the adjuster expands the shoes toward the drum. You want to feel slight drag when you spin the drum by hand. Spin the drum. If it spins completely free with 0 resistance, turn the adjuster 3 teeth and check again. You want the drum to drag lightly, like it is moving through light oil when you spin it by hand. That is the correct clearance. If it locks up and will not spin, you have gone too far. Back off 2 teeth and check again. The target is 3 to 5 teeth of adjustment from the free spin position to the light drag position on a drum that has been running loose. Step 8. Back off for final clearance. Once you hit light drag, back the adjuster off 1 to 2 teeth. That is your running clearance. Spin the drum. It should spin freely now with just a whisper of contact. Not locked, not sloppy. Lock up is too tight. Free spin is too loose. Whisper contact is correct. Step 9. Do the other side. Drum brakes must be adjusted evenly side to side. If you adjust one side and not the other, the vehicle pulls under braking. Pull the opposite wheel, pull that drum, and repeat the exact same procedure. Match the tooth count on both sides. If you went 4 teeth on the right, go 4 teeth on the left. Step 10. Reinstall the drums and wheels and torque the lug nuts to the specified torque value. Always consult your specific vehicle's owner's manual for the correct torque value, as specifications vary significantly by model year and stud size. Modern half-ton trucks frequently require 135 to 150 foot-pounds. 3/4-ton trucks vary as well. Do not rely on a generic range. Look up your truck. Step 11. The brake bed in. This is not optional. Drive to an empty road or parking lot. From 25 miles per hour, apply firm, steady pressure until the truck slows to 5 miles per hour. Do not stop completely. Release the brake. Let the drums cool for 30 seconds. Repeat 4 times. This seats the shoes against the drum surface evenly. Without this step, the shoes will wear unevenly, and you will be doing this again in 10,000 miles. Step 12. You do the pedal check. Sitting still with the engine off, pump the brake pedal 5 times. It should firm up on the second or third pump and stay firm. If it still travels more than halfway to the floor after 5 pumps, your self-adjuster mechanism is not holding position. That means the self-adjuster cable or linkage is stretched or corroded, a common failure after 50,000 miles on trucks that live in salt states. Adjuster kits run $15 to $25 a side. Replace them while the drums are already off. Here is the self-adjuster reality that most people miss. The self-adjusters on your truck are supposed to ratchet the star wheel automatically. Depending on the design, the mechanism activates during reverse braking, during parking brake application, or through a lever actuated by shoe movement. The specific design varies by manufacturer and platform. After 50,000 miles, those cables stretch, the rubber grommets crack, the PAL sticks, the self-adjuster stops self-adjusting. This is not a design failure on your specific truck. It is a documented pattern across Ford, GM, and Ram platforms. Self-adjusting drum brake mechanisms have been in production since the 1940s and became widespread through the 1950s and 60s. The cable or linkage is the weak point. It was weak then, and it is weak today. Ford has issued technical service bulletins specifically for rear adjuster cable failures on various truck platforms. The fix in those bulletins is the same fix you are doing right now: manual adjustment and cable inspection, and replacement if the cable will not hold tension. The cable feels like a bicycle brake cable. Pull on it by hand with the drum off. It should be taut with no slack. If it is slack or if the sheath is cracked, replace it. The part is typically $10 to $20 depending on application. Now the numbers. Under $20 for the brake spoon, $2 for brake cleaner, $1 for the wire brush you probably already own. The job you just did costs from $800 to $1,500 at a dealership for a full rear axle service. The only reason it gets that expensive is deferred maintenance. The shoe wears past the metal. The drum gets scored. Now you are replacing shoes, drums, hardware kit, and labor at the dealer rate, $400 for parts. From $800 to $1,200 for labor on a dealer flat rate. That is the cost of skipping a 40-minute job for 3 years. Over the 10-year life of a truck, the pre-1980 fleet maintenance model cost roughly $500 in brake maintenance total. It required 2 to 3 shoe replacements, annual adjustments, and hardware refreshes. The modern neglect model, where you replace everything only when it fails, costs $2,000 or more over the same period. That difference exists entirely because the adjustment practice disappeared. It did not disappear because the trucks got better. It disappeared because the service model changed. Flat rate billing pays a mechanic the same whether a job takes 20 minutes or 3 hours. A 20-minute adjustment on a 40-minute flat rate clock is a money loser for the shop. A full axle replacement at 3 hours flat rate on a 2-hour actual job is a money maker. The tool cost is the same, the knowledge cost is the same, the economics of the service model are not the same. That is the entire story. The adjustment practice also disappeared because the generation of mechanics who did it regularly retired. The average working mechanic today is around 40 years old. The masters, the men who learned drum brakes as apprentices in the 1970s and the 1980s, are 55 and older, and they are retiring faster than they can be replaced. The adjustment procedure is in every factory service manual ever printed. It is not proprietary. It is not locked behind a subscription. It requires a tool that costs less than $20, and it requires 40 minutes of work. What it requires that is genuinely scarce is someone who has done it enough times to know what light drag feels like on a drum and what a stretched self-adjuster cable feels like in your hand. You have now done it. That knowledge does not leave. The trucks that still run drum brakes on the rear axle, and there are millions of them, many Ram, Ford, and GM fleet, and work trucks across multiple generations, all of them benefit from this procedure every 12,000 miles, or every oil change if you are running in a salt state or pulling a trailer regularly. Every 12,000 miles is a maintenance interval that costs less than $20 in materials and 40 minutes of your time. Every 72,000 miles is when you pay a shop $1,200 because the shoes wore through and scored the drums. Your choice. Every adjustment spec, self-adjuster inspection checklist, and shoe wear threshold we covered today is compiled in the complete field reference linked in the description. The mechanics who kept trucks running 200,000 miles on original rear brakes did not have better parts. They had an inexpensive tool and a regular habit. That is it. That is the whole gap between 2 shoe sets in a truck's lifetime and 7 shoe sets in a truck's lifetime. The knowledge is yours now. Keep turning your own wrenches. What is the mileage on your rear drums right now? Drop it below. If you have done this adjustment before, tell us what you found when you pulled the drums. We want to know what condition the self-adjusters were in.